Hey, I'm Amanda from Trifecta Fitness. We're proud to be Clarksville's new Get Fit headquarters. Trifecta Fitness is a state-of-the-art spin and strength training studio. Our spin studio is truly one of a kind in this area, complete with 20 state-of-the-art live fitness bikes and an incredible sound system. Our strength training is done in small groups of 6 or fewer, and all of our strength and spin classes are scalable for every level of experience. Come see us in the heart of Clarksville, just behind MAPCO at the corner of Old Trenton Road and Wilma Rudolph Boulevard. Call us for more info at 931-542-6265 or download our Trifecta Fitness app for a full list of upcoming classes.
For every veteran, there is a story about a calling to serve, to fight for the freedoms of the American people. And every story has a struggle, a sacrifice, and invisible wounds. Warrior WOD's programs help veterans recover from PTSD and invisible wounds through exercise, nutrition, and connecting with other veteran leaders. It is estimated that 22 veterans die each day by suicide, and another 30 veterans die each day by substance abuse. These are preventable deaths. Warrior WOD is committed to fighting PTSD through fitness, nutrition, and community.
All right. Welcome back.
MisFitNation. The MisFitNation show.
We are a show founded by a veteran and hosted by 2 veterans and a military spouse. Our mission is to get people to tell their stories to the world. If you're an author, share your tips with the MisFitNation. If you're a musician or an actor, our audience needs to know how they too can get into the business. Coaches. We love our coaches. Come on and share your tips with the MisFitNation to help them become better versions of themselves. If you are a corporate leader or an entrepreneur, come on and show how you did it and how hard you have fought for success. If you are a veteran, first responder, or Gold Star family, we would love to have you come on and share your story with the MisFitNation. We always have time for you. If you're feeling down, alone, or starting to see the darkness, Stop. Think about those who are around you. You are not alone. You will be missed. If you feel like your problems will be a burden to those in your inner circle or feel embarrassed, dial 988. If you are a veteran, take option 1. We need you to keep pushing forward. Don't make a permanent solution to a temporary problem. If you are a new listener, welcome to the MisFitNation show. Be sure to subscribe to our show on your favorite podcast app. Also on our YouTube channel at @the_MisFitNation. Subscribe and click the bell to keep you up to date on our latest episodes and all of our news. You can also find us on Heroes Media Group and About Face Radio. Now, let's get to the show!
All right. The ToosDay Crue is here, hosted by Stephen LaMonica and Jake Collin. It is a MisFitNation production that brings powerful stories of grit, resilience, and leadership to life. Stephen is a business leader and YouTube consigliere, ensures the show runs smoothly, providing real-time feedback and maintaining discipline during live broadcasts. Jake, a 25-year Army veteran and former EOD tech. We call him Hurt Locker. We call him Lacey. Offers deep insights from his extensive service, which includes multiple combat deployments and VIP missions around the globe. Together, they welcome guests from diverse backgrounds to share their journeys, inspiring listeners with stories of overcoming adversity and leading with purpose. Whether you're tuning in for the insightful discussions or to enjoy Stephen's passion for NASCAR or Jake's anecdotes from his farm in Kentucky, the ToosDay Crue delivers a unique blend of entertainment and inspiration every week. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the ToosDay Crue. All right, all right, all right. It's Tuesday. The boys are back. The boys are back. Next week at this time, Jake will be wearing a Notre Dame hat. He'll be happy wearing the gold chain around his neck and saying the Irish have won the national championship. Because by God, they will. The luck of the Irish will be back. The echoes will be stirred. And right now, in a world that right now is full of the chaos of 2025, it's rocking. It's starting to make you go crazy inside. Do not let it drag you down. Get up, get out, and be the difference. Today, tomorrow, and always. Be the change, be that difference, be the person that makes your neighborhood better. And now, I bring you Cagney, I bring you Lacey, the ToosDay Crue.
It gets more exciting every week when he introduces us.
It does.
Oh my God.
It does. Heart's beating.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening. I wasn't questioning you, Stephen. I've just got fat fingers.
So how's everything by you?
Everything's good. We got about 5 inches of snow this last weekend. Whatever day it was, it snowed. It was pretty much gone the next day because it heated up to almost 50 degrees the next day. So,
Pretty much how that works.
Oh, I loved it. It was great. I got to see the snow, got to go out, take some pictures, and then boom, it was gone. So, yeah, I'm good to go with that. How about you?
We've only had like light dustings here. Other than that, it's just get up, go to work, kind of, happening. That's the weather. It's a little chilly, but it's not bad. So,
well, it's supposed to get
very weird for New Jersey.
It's supposed to get down possibly single digits here. So, I don't know. We'll wait and see.
They keep saying that it's everywhere, but where it should be, right here.
Exactly. Hey, before we get started, I just want to give a shout out and let everybody know in California and in North Carolina. We have not forgot about you. There's still, especially around here at home, there's still donations going out every day. And California, we pray for y'all with the wildfires. That is truly devastating. And I know there's people out there, they're sending money, that they're sending help. There's firefighters from all over going out there to help. And God bless them all. And we just know that we're praying for you.
This weekend, my daughter, she babysits for a family in Montclair here. And the parents were doing a fundraiser to send money to California. They had her make a sign. They made pulled pork and they had, coleslaw and everything they made themselves. One sandwich, $15, two for $50. They raised over $600, I think it was, selling sandwiches.
Hey,
one for $15, two for $50. Doesn't math.
Hey, you know what?
It works.
If it's going for a good cause, I'll pay $50 for a pork sandwich.
Exactly.
All day long. Hey, we got a great guest this evening. He's ventured into something that's near and dear to my heart. His name is Trevor Spiers. He is a United States Marine Corps veteran. Got out of the Marine Corps, and he went to school at Virginia Wesleyan University. And after he got out, he did some real estate stuff, and he decided he was going to embrace the kickback lifestyle. And with that, he founded Ula Cocktails. So they're ready to drink cocktails, and we are going to get him on here, and he is going to, because, we're all about cocktails at the MisFitNation and on the ToosDay Crue. So we're going to get him on here and talk about cocktails.
Good evening, Trevor. How are you?
I'm terrific, boys. How are you? Thanks for having me on.
Hey, great to have you. Great to have you. Thank you for coming. Hey, we gave about a 2-cent version of your life, talking that, you was a Marine Corps veteran and now you make ready to drink cocktails. So why don't you just start from wherever you want to start and fill in the rest for everybody. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
All right. Well, I know you're you're a soldier, Jake, so I know that you probably think it's worth about 2 cents, right? To any jarhead. You got it pretty accurate right there.
Hey, what's your address so I can mail you a 64 pack of crayons?
That's right. That's right. I'll tell you real quick before I get into it. I'll tell you a funny story. So I was down in Key West a couple weeks ago with my kids down there on a business trip, right? And I go up to this. If you've ever been to Key West, there's this bar I love to go to. It's called the smallest bar in the world, and it's the size of a closet. It's a great place. I go up there and I'm pitching Ula to these guys, and I'm like, look, you guys see me here 2-3 times a year. I'm pitching Ula to you, yada yada yada. And they didn't know I was a veteran. And he goes, oh, what branch? I said Marine Corps. And he goes, oh, great. And he goes, I got something for you to eat. And, it's Key West. You think it's going to be something neat. He gives me this thing in a wrapper, about this big, in a wrapper, hands it to me. And I look at it, and it doesn't, like, for a second, I'm looking at it. I'm like, that's a crayon. And he goes, yeah, that was just, oh, that's freaking genius, man. That's genius. That was great. So I love that joke. And that guy sprung it on me because I was sort of in business mode, trying to focus through a couple of cocktails, which I don't normally do business after I've had cocktails, but when in Key West, right? And
Exactly.
He just dropped it on me. It was perfect. It was appropriate. Anyway, made the sale. We're going to be at the smallest bar in the world there in Key West too. So just so everybody knows. But
that's awesome.
Yeah, fantastic.
That's funny. But that intro kind of hit the some of the points. I'm originally from Connecticut. After I graduated high school, barely graduated high school, I went to college on a full drinking scholarship and excelled. So much so that a year later, I found myself in the Marine Corps in the infantry. So did that. That's what I wanted to do. I had an absolute great time in the Marine Corps. You meet a lot of great people. You get a lot of great training. And really kind of, if you lack discipline, which I lacked discipline and I knew I lacked discipline, it doesn't matter what branch you go into, they ingrain that discipline in you. If you're accepting of it, it can really set you on the right course. So after the Marine Corps, I was married at the time, and I could still play lacrosse being from Connecticut. It's a douchebag sport. Being from Connecticut, you're by default a douchebag. So I could still play lacrosse really well. I went to UMass Amherst to play lacrosse there and realized I had Division I skills, Division III speed, and I was never leaving the bench. So I transferred to Virginia Wesleyan in Virginia Beach, Virginia. Had a great time there and played a couple of years. Until I had no more eligibility left. They gave me my diploma, my degree, on to the next thing. Got into real estate, got into mortgages at first, learned, this is ways back before the market crash, learned how to do flips, got into, property flips, got into that, made some money, got into some developments, stopped doing mortgages, got into that full time, did pretty well. The market crashed. I lost almost everything. I mean, down to pennies. And at that point I had 2 kids, 2 very young kids. So you want to talk about scary. But made it through that, rebuilt even bigger, got into some larger developments and really large developments. And COVID, I had my biggest development, 100 townhomes, 12,000 square feet of retail. Just finished putting in all the infrastructure. This is 7 acres of site work infrastructure, and COVID hits. And you want to talk about scary again. I thought, oh my God, man, I've seen this movie before. Shut off all my economic valves. Like, I'm not spending a penny on anything. Saw there was not going to be a lot of materials. Me and my business partner on that project bought every stick of lumber we possibly could, staged it on the site, and built. We just took a flyer, and it worked out because nobody had any product. And we were some of the only ones that had product. It was a beautiful development right on the water. So we did fairly well on that, well enough that I have a bunch of other big real estate projects going, but it allowed me to kind of venture out into other businesses. And the one that I kind of settled on with my business partner in Ula, Chris Klein, great guy, terrific guy. Ula Cocktails has just really been, not only has it been fun, but it has really taken off.
Awesome. Now that just, you talk about the real estate market and everything, that's awful, up and down. And that was probably a good move when COVID hit, just to, whether you need it or not, buy up all the lumber you can, because I'm sure if you didn't use it, somebody would buy it.
Yeah. Yep.
Well, shoot, let's talk about these cocktails.
All right.
So they're ooh-la cocktails, and I like how you done that. You being a Marine, you took a variation of ooh-rah, went to ooh-la. I like that. So what are some of the flavors that you have?
So we'll jump right into the flavors. First, let me say, they're cocktails. When you're in, you usually drink beer and stuff like that. And I love beer, but I also have an affinity for cocktails, for liquor. But I like mixed drinks. I don't brag about I'm a man enough to drink, a lot of Scotch whiskey or anything like that. I'm not that guy. I like my tequila and my rum, but ultimately I like mixed drinks. So, Chris and I were buddies, and I'll get more into. You want me to get into the company? You want me to talk about the flavors, or?
Hey,
you do what you want to do. We're here to listen to you right now.
Okay, like I said, if you guys let me talk, it's like that doll. Remember when we were kids? You pull the string and it just goes. I'm that doll. I'm that live doll. Well, I'll get into the beginning of ooh-la cocktails. So my business partner Chris Klein and I were buddies, and we belong to a club together. We play golf every Friday. We have a group of guys who play golf every Friday. And golf is fun if you play well. If you don't, it's not fun. But when you have a bunch of buddies that are all ball busters, you're having a good time. That's great. What's always fun on that Friday is afterwards. We go out back and we have cocktails and smoke cigars. So it was one particular day. We're out there, a beautiful day, and we're talking. And we love rum, and we're talking about our affinity for rum. And you have a couple of cocktails, and you're like, you know what? We should start a rum company. And you kind of laugh a little bit about it, and then a couple more cocktails, and you're like, you know what? We should start a rum company. Now you're convinced you are. The next day, the dust settles a little bit, and we look at each other, and we're like, are we doing this? And I think we are. I knew some people who in the alcohol business, in the rum business, in the whiskey business, and Chris knew some people. So we started, kind of getting out there and talking to these people, leveraging relationships and getting as much intel, just like anything else. You're going to go out on a mission, right? You want as much intel as you possibly can get. So we got a lot of intel from everybody, how it works, and started learning more and more about it. And then if you're just doing straight spirits, and what I mean by straight spirits, whether it's rum, tequila, vodka, whiskey, something like that, that's where the highest profit margins are, right? Mm-hmm. But it's a lot more difficult path to market, especially here in Virginia, where we're based out of Virginia and Florida. But you can only sell liquor in the ABC stores. So you have to get into the ABC. It's not like a million liquor stores. Florida's great because there's a million liquor stores.
Yes.
But we started going down that road. And one of my friends who owns a very successful whiskey business, started doing ready to drink cocktails. I'd not really heard of those at that point, just the crappy ones that they had once upon a time, and the ones at that point that they had that were malt liquor ones. So they were mixed cocktails, but they're not. It's malt liquor. And so we saw that as, okay, wait a minute, this is a real business. Our worst case scenario if we were going to do rum, is we had a bunch of rum we could share with our buddies, right? You don't lose that much money. But we saw this as a real business, and we liked real cocktails. So again, we had to figure out, make a brand based around our lifestyles and how we look at the world and how we live our lives. Hence the Kickback cocktail for the Kickback lifestyle. And it all started kind of coming together. You know how it is when it doesn't happen very often. Every layer just starts to kind of come together. You're waiting for some shoe to drop, and it just wasn't. So, we came up with our name, and then we came up with some flavors, a bunch of flavors, and we had them designed by a mixologist. And we had all those, and we did a whole bunch of blind taste tests, not with our friends and family who are going to, blow smoke up your wazoo all the time and say, yeah, honey, it's so great. It tastes so great. No, these are real. We just grabbed all kinds of different people that were friends of friends and got them. And it was blind. When I say blind taste tests, we got our flavors and matched them up against existing flavors on successful brands. And there was one flavor I'll talk about right off the bat. This is the only one that we never tweaked. It was the one that, and it's our biggest seller right now. That's Island Girl. So there we go. Island Girl is rum, coconut, pineapple. Again, these things, it's one of the trends is they're a lot of carbonation, like the seltzers. We only have a little bit of carbonation. Just
Okay.
So it is carbonated. All right.
Barely carbonated. Like I said, I apologize when I send you guys samples, you'll see, you'll be like, oh, I get it. So the great thing about it is they don't really go flat either. With those other ones, even a beer, once you crack it, it's diminishing returns. You need to suck that sucker down because at the end of it, it's going to be, unless you're drinking an IPA or something like that, it's going to be flat. So, we didn't make any tweaks. Island Girl right off the bat, done. That one was done. But the rest of them, we made some tweaks. Our second flavor that I'll bring in here is the Big O. Now, that's our Orange Crush. If you're from Virginia or Maryland, that's like the drink in Virginia and Maryland. That's vodka, orange juice, Sprite, and triple sec. So it's a really, it's a really unique flavor. What's amazing is you think that everybody would know about those in Florida. Nobody knew about them in Florida. They're like, what is this drink? It's orange. And then the Big O, the name was funny because we like to have some fun with it. It's the double entendre, the Big O. And
oh yeah,
we say that the T-shirt line is the Big O answers the age-old question: who says you have to fake it?
Exactly.
To which my fiance always says, I do. She's a keeper, man. She's a keeper.
Definitely.
So the third flavor is prickly pear margarita. Now, I didn't even know what prickly pear was before we started this. I was like, nobody's going to drink a pear drink. But it's not. In prickly pear, you guys probably know this. It's a fruit from the cactus.
Yes.
And so I had no idea what it was. And we had a different mixology company once upon a time kind of give us that one. That was like the first flavor we ever had. And it was so unique. And that's got tequila and, of course, prickly pear in it. So it's been really popular. And we were going to make it, then we decided not to. But we went with a variety pack. We're making variety packs also. So you need to have 4 flavors. So you can have 2 of each in the 8-pack. And I'm glad we did because it's been really just a huge, huge flavor for us. And last but not least, and I say that because you're not supposed to have a favorite child, but this one is my favorite child, the spicy margarita.
That's what I was looking at when I looked it up online. I'm like, spicy margarita.
It's a terrific flavor. I love it. And I was able to push that one because not everybody wanted it, but I was like, nope, we've got to have the spicy margarita. Now I'm a big spicy margarita guy, but if I go to a restaurant and I have 2 like restaurant spicy margaritas, I'm done because I'm going to have heartburn all night. But with these ones, the way we've crafted them, you can have them pretty much all day and you won't get heartburn like that. There's a little bit, kind of the heat kind of builds to a crescendo, and then that's sort of where it stays. And so you never think a spicy margarita can be refreshing, but these ones are refreshing. And like I said, you can drink them all day. I prove that every weekend that you can drink them all day.
Well, our executive producer just loves his tequila, so that'll be something he'll be drinking.
He'll love both those then.
Yeah, man, that sounds good. I had never had. I mean, I'd tasted a pre-mixed cocktail way back when I was young. My dad bought a 6-pack of Jim Beam and Coke. And I was probably 12 or 13 years old, and that tasted like ass. And so I've either, I've usually been either a beer and a straight bourbon guy. That's about it. But my daughter-in-law, she turned me on to. She had a bunch of pre-made cocktails in her fridge when we went up there for Christmas, and I tried a few of them, and they were actually pretty good. And I was kind of partial to the whiskey sour. That was the one I liked, but I like fruity drinks too. So I'm looking forward to trying these.
Yeah, there are some good ones out there. There's some ones that I don't I don't really like, especially the ones that are overcarbonated or seltzers. But to be fair, I don't like seltzer water either, so it's never been my thing. But there are some good ones out there. Like there's a spicy margarita. I hate to blow up the competition and say how good it is, but when it comes to, like, if you want a really spicy margarita, Cazadores does one. The ABV's higher, but it's spicier. It's really spicy. If you like the really spicy ones, that Cazadores one is good. And there's a few other ones out there that are pretty good.
Now, let me ask you a question. You said you were pushing it in a bar in Florida. Do they actually sell well in bars, better than in, like, liquor stores?
So for us, that's an interesting question. They sell better in grocery stores. And so a grocery store is what's called off premise, from a business terminology, and like a bar or restaurant is on premise. And it has been customary that the ready to drink cocktails don't sell very well on the on premise, because the two reasons: one, people want to get, a drink made by the bartender. And two, the bars make more money on the drinks that they make there because of the spread on alcohol is so big. Now, it's interesting because it's always been the case, but because there are some good RTDs out there, RTD ready to drink cocktails, because there are good ones out there, that it's kind of changed a little bit. So again, not the seltzers, not the Trulies and the White Claws, those are seltzers, but the ready to drink cocktails, those have started to get more and more popular in the bars and restaurants. And I think a lot of it has to do with the generation coming up, and now that they can drink, everything their entire life has been automatic, right? And it's always the same. You go on the internet, it's always the same. If your internet, if their internet service is, just a millisecond slow, they can tell, everything's got to be the same. Everything's got to be instant. So I think that's one of the things. They want it instant, and they want it to be the same. You could have the greatest bartender in the world, but they're going to make the same drink. Let's take your whiskey sour. They're going to make it such and such a way at 7 o'clock at night, and you might go back for another one at 8 o'clock, and it might be a little different. 9, 10 o'clock, you have a couple more. They could taste different. It's not consistent. Whereas the RTDs, especially ours, is consistent every time. But we make a lot. We sell a lot more product at the grocery stores and the corner stores, like the 7-Elevens and stuff like that.
Well, I think the idea with them, and the reason I would kind of like them is, me and my wife, we horseback ride a lot, and we go 4-wheeling a lot. If I want to drink something other than beer, I got to take my liquor, my mixers, and everything like that, and figure out how I can pack that on a horse or in the Jeep. And then I've got to stop and mix them. But with these, I just reach back in the cooler and bam, it's there. That's
so true. We go to the beach. I just live a couple of blocks from the beach, and we go down there in the summer all the time. And again, I'm not a huge beer guy. I like my cocktails, but I'm lugging down a bottle of Captain Morgan. I'm lugging down some ginger ale, which is my mixed drink. I got to slice up a lime. All that stuff I can live with, but then I've got to have ice. And that ice, when it's 100 degrees out with 90% humidity, that ice ain't gonna last all day. But with these, like you said, reach into the cooler, you rock and roll.
That's excellent. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah,
ready to go cocktails.
Now, since we're both veterans on here, our executive producer's a veteran. Are you going to branch out and try to get on military bases and try to get distributors to get you on the Class 6 stores and the exchanges on base?
That's a great question. The answer is yes. So in this business, what we found out, and again, we went into it blind. It's just, I've been relatively successful with my businesses. Chris had been relatively successful with his businesses. So we're kind of like, well, we have the business acumen to go after it. But, we knew we didn't know a lot about the actual alcohol business when we started. So we had to learn, just like anything else, right? You had to go through, you had to train, talk to people, practice. So one of the things we found out was super important is you have to have the right distributor. And we at the beginning we've lucked into some smaller distributors that have been great, and they do all that they can. In Virginia, we launched July 4th, and we really just guerrilla marketing, getting it out there. Our distributor helped us get in a couple of larger grocery stores like Total Wine and Kroger. I don't know if you guys have Kroger's where you're at.
Yes,
I have Total Wine up here.
Okay, yeah, so those are big places for alcohol. And so we got into those, and we do what are called tastings. You guys, when you're in a store and you have people that are handing out samples and stuff like that, it's important to do that. You got to get sips to lips, because people are not going to take a flyer on a brand that they don't know. They're just going to go with the brand that they do know. So we did a lot of that, and Chris and I would do it personally. We were doing 3 tastings a day, 3 days a week on the weekends, Friday and the weekends. So that enabled us to, in Virginia, land in 4 months what it usually takes companies 3 to 4 years to do. We landed one of the big 3 distributors in the country. We landed Breakthrough Beverage, which was huge. And they're like, we've seen you guys. We love what you're doing. Let's make a deal. And we did. We're actually going to Richmond, Virginia tomorrow with their whole team to talk about our kickoff for spring. I bring that up saying this: you've got to pitch to all these stores, to include the PX, to include the exchanges. So those meetings now are getting set up so that we can get on those bases. Because I think that this will do very, very well. Ula will do incredibly well in the military community, not only because of the taste and the packaging. I mean, the packaging just jumps out, right? Just jumps out at you, makes you want to kick back. But also it's veteran owned.
yes,
And we all support one another. It's a great community at its core. The veteran community's core, doesn't matter what branch you were in. We're all brothers and sisters in arms, and everybody does everything they can to support you. I've had people come up to me at tastings, and our pitch is also that we're veteran owned, and people just say, "I'll take some." I'm like, "Well, don't you want to taste it?" They're like, "No, thanks, brother. You're a veteran. I'm gonna taste it at home. I'm definitely buying." Like, right on, man. However you want to do it. That's great.
Yeah, we have a local distillery down here where I'm at, and he's got product at the PX, and he's a former Army captain, and that's since he's a veteran, that's probably my go-to whiskey when I buy whiskey is from him, because it's a veteran-owned company, and I truly believe if I've got 2 outstanding products, one's veteran-owned and one's not, I will buy from the veteran-owned company.
Absolutely. It's amazing how much people appreciate that. Having been in the military since I was 19, and then for a couple of years I was away in college, but only actually 1 year, right? 1 year, because when I moved down here, Virginia, there's tons. This is obviously the biggest naval base in the world. There's jets flying all over the place. You got all the SEAL teams, so it's a very veteran-rich, target-rich area when it comes to veterans. And so you're so used to it that it doesn't. I don't know if there's a lot of veterans where you guys live, but my best friend growing up in Connecticut, he joined the Air Force, and he's all in the VFW and all that stuff. But there's not a lot of veterans where we grew up, small town Connecticut. So it's sort of a unique thing here. It's not quite as unique as everybody is. So you don't think about it that much. And I didn't really realize it until I got into this business. And when you get out into the general community, much more than just your friends and family that you're around all the time, how much people appreciate it. All the work that we've done, the sacrifices that we've made, and they're anxious and happy to, hey, what do you have? I want to support you guys because you're willing to put it all on the line for me. The least I can do is, buy an 8-pack variety pack of Ula cocktails. And it's really neat, and it's heartwarming too.
I'm very impressed when I get away from, right now I live around Fort Campbell, Kentucky. And of course, there's a lot of soldiers here. There's a lot of retirees here. You can't go anywhere that somebody is not involved, whether they work on Fort Campbell, they've retired out of there or whatever. And But, you get out in some of these smaller towns around here where there's no military and they find out that you was military or whatever. Yeah, the American public is just, they never cease to amaze me on how they support veterans.
Yeah, it's great. That's the way it should be.
Yeah.
Yes.
Definitely. All right. Well, we have a couple of questions coming in.
All right, lay them on me.
So, from Biatch on Google, transitioning from real estate development and private equity to founding a ready-to-drink cocktail brand is a bold move. What challenges did you face, and how did your military background help you overcome them?
Well, Biatch, let me go ahead and answer that. Question. I don't want to be presumptuous, but I am going to use your name. That's a great question. It's a bold move. Listen, I've made bold moves my whole life. The majority of them don't work out, but the ones that have worked out have really worked out well for me, and they outweigh the bad ones. It's one of those things. So you ask how the military helps you out. I tell everybody this, whether it's good, bad, indifferent, whatever the experience is, if you're from the military, no matter what branch you are, I say always fall back on your training. It's amazing all that crap you do in boot camp and some of your schools when you're getting, when you're getting your MOS, stuff like that. You're kind of like, I don't understand what any of this stuff, none of this stuff makes any sense until you get out in the fleet, right? And then you learn that, hey, what happened here, what, Sergeant Pate made me do here, or Sergeant Reno made me do here, seemed ridiculous, but there's an aspect of it that really helps. It's almost like the Karate Kid, the wax on, wax off. It's the same thing. You don't understand it until it actually happens. But, it's falling back on your training. Make bold moves. I mean, that's the thing. I was on another podcast, and it was business centric. And one thing I didn't realize, never even had thought of it, was that there are not a lot of veteran entrepreneurs. I mean, the number of veteran entrepreneurs is very, very low, which two things. One, if you spend enough time in and everything is sort of taken care of, I mean, you're working your ass off, right? But in the background, all the admin stuff is taken care of. And so it might be easy to kind of slip into a regular job, and that's great. And so it's that entrepreneurial spirit when you're part of a team and you have to stay on course, on mission. Sometimes it might tamp that down a little bit. But I go back to, I fall back on your training, be bold. I mean, if you're, be bold, take a shot. Not all of them are going to work. If you take 5 shots and you get 1 to work, you've done well. If you take 10 shots and you get 1 to work, then you've still done well. But it's hard to get through those 4 failures. It's hard to get through those 9 failures. And it's even harder. Like I said, when the market crashed in real estate, I was, on a upwards trajectory, and you own real estate. It's a tangible asset. It's always worth something because you can touch it and feel it. Until the first time in modern history, it wasn't worth anything, right?
Yeah.
Those are scary, scary times. But what you have to do is, if you're capable, again, fall back on your training. Okay, everything in the mission has gone south, but I still have to complete the mission. So, you kind of fall back a little bit, you regroup, and then try and move forward. It's not for everybody. It's not for the faint of heart, but I can promise you, if you go for it, the rewards can be incredible.
Great.
Yeah. And, again, what you was talking about, being in the military, fail is not supposed to be in your vocabulary.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see. We've got a question up on the screen from Mark Ya on X. How did your time stationed in Hawaii shape your kickback lifestyle philosophy and inspire you to create cocktails?
Look, that's a great question. It doesn't, again, you go back to there's another unique thing about the military. Maybe it's not unique, but it's certainly a constant in the military is you're strung pretty tight, right? Especially, and I was in the infantry. So I used to watch, our barracks was right across from the air wingers, and those guys had the long hair and, they kind of had more of a laid back lifestyle. And I always was kind of like, this is crap. Those guys live a different life, until a couple of times we're in some helos that weren't doing very well. And we're just like, oh shit, what's going to happen here? And you got the crew chiefs running back and forth and making things happen. And then all of a sudden the helo's fine. And I thought to myself, you know what? I don't want those guys to be stressed ever, because the instances of stress that they have, I want them thinking clearly. So, but one thing I did learn, because you saw so many guys that were strung so tight and could not enjoy. I mean, how can you not enjoy Kane'ohe Bay, Hawaii? Anywhere in Hawaii, it's paradise. And these guys wouldn't enjoy it because they were so tense. They didn't know how to let go and relax. And so I really made an effort to, when in my downtime, to relax. I got out into Hawaii. I got out into the communities. I engaged with the people who live there. The Hawaiians are really wonderful people. They're a little bit closed off to military, especially on the main island, Oahu, which is where Kane'ohe Bay, K-Bay is. But if you show that you respect them, you respect their lifestyle and their heritage, and you embrace it, boy, man, it opens up some doors. And those doors really, again, small town Connecticut. I grew up in the sticks. I went to the beach in the Outer Banks in the summer, but I never had any exposure to anything like that, the tropics and the lifestyle. I tell you what, that's really what started me down this road. I work very, very hard. But when I have downtime, I love to kick back, and it kind of teaches you and allows you the kickback lifestyle to not take everything so serious. There's this, if you ever watched the Warren Miller ski videos, I don't know if you've ever seen them, they're kind of old school, but I remember this one line when I was a kid watching him. He said this one guy was skiing and they show him falling in slow motion. And they said, John Jones, whatever his name is, gave me this great philosophy. He says, don't take life too serious, because you can't get out of it alive. And I tell you what, that you think of it like that, and you can really find some time to kick back.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, because no, we're not leaving this rock alive.
No, we're not.
Definitely not.
Destiny 98R on Twitch. What sets Ula cocktails apart from other ready-to-drink options on the market? And how does your brand reflect the laid-back, adventurous lifestyle you embody?
That's a great question.
Worried about your laid-back lifestyle, bud.
Yeah. Look, Destiny, that's a great question. I think what sets us apart is our flavors are very unique. It's interesting. We know they're unique, but to us, because we spent so much time on them, we didn't really know that they were unique. You don't think about it because you're so in the moment, right? You can't see from outside. You can't see the forest through the trees. Until we started having our taste tests and getting it out there and getting it to people, and people would say, my gosh, I've never tasted anything like this. I don't want to name the brands, but there's brands that are ready to drink cocktails, and there's brands that are seltzers, and you could just go down the aisle and look at the labels, and it's all strawberry this, watermelon this, apricot this, every single
and some
one.
of them are terrible.
Yeah, look, I don't want to talk. Yes, I'm glad you said it. I didn't say it.
I am not the businessman here. Some of them are terrible.
There you go. But it's always the same. Everybody's following, the school of fish. All the fish are swimming this way. Chris and I decided, hey, let's swim this way instead. Let's go with something really unique. And with that, you can be unique and have the best flavors, but it really, in order to get somebody to take a chance on you, you have to have packaging, you have to have marketing. And again, it goes back to our whole philosophy starting this was, let's do rum business. Worst case scenario is we share a bunch of rum with our buddies while we're kicking back, smoking cigars and having cocktails. It's the same thing. We travel all over the world, over the Caribbean, all over, the tropics. And the packaging just jumps off. It just jumps off the shelf at you, and it really embodies the kickback lifestyle.
Nice.
And so I think that's really what sets us apart, Destiny, is we took the time to swim in the opposite direction and do something nobody's done before in a way that really embodies the kickback lifestyle. There's some drinks out there that I think are not doing the kickback lifestyle, but there's sort of that retro beachy surf look, and it's cool looking. But there's a lot of people in those companies that run it that are just businessmen. There's no soul there, right? Chris and I have our own podcast, Kickback Cocktails, our Kickback Conversations with Ooh La Cocktails. And if you ever want to see what we're really about, you can listen to that, to our podcast. That's who we are. We really do embody and live the Kickback lifestyle, and you can taste it and see it in our drinks.
All right.
All right. So, what kind of cigars do you suggest for your cocktails?
So I smoke. Look, I smoke some big boy cigars. I smoke an Aroa EBT. It's a 60 gauge, so it's a big fat one, 6-inch 60 gauge. But you could smoke any cigar. It really depends on what you're. That's my go-to. I smoke a lot of the Maduros and triple Maduros. But if you can afford it, you can get a Cohiba Beheki. If you can get it out of Cuba and you can afford it, smoke those. I can smoke one of those. I can afford to smoke one of those like maybe once a year. And I can afford it because somebody gives it to me.
All right, we have more questions out here. From Liz Beyonder on Google, what advice would you give to a fellow veteran or anyone looking to turn their passions into successful business venture?
So again, I like how she said passions, because you have to have a passion for it. I truly believe you have to have a passion for it. And even if it's a business, like I'm not particular about this business. It's this business over here, but I have a passion for creating a business. That's the passion. I think that you have to find your passion. I'll tell you, and I've mentioned it a couple times, especially at the beginning, I knew this person who was involved here who either helped me or turned me on to somebody who over here, did it, and Chris did the same thing. Use your sphere of influence, the people that you know, the relationships that you have, and leverage those relationships. You should want to help people, and you shouldn't be afraid to ask for help or ask for, hey, we know somebody who, I've got a friend who does this. Hey, can you ask that person? Can you make an introduction? Because that's the fear of being awkward. Like, I don't want to ask somebody for help, or I don't want to ask this person who's in the business I want to get in, or is there any way we can do business together or help each other? I don't want to do that. It's a fear, and you have to get over that fear, and it's not easy. Obviously, I'm an extrovert, and sometimes it's even difficult for me, but I love the fact that you use the word passion, because you have to have a passion for it, and then you have to just kind of go for it. But relationships, everybody that you know, or that somebody who knows somebody, put it out there, because you put good energy out there and people see and pick up on your passion, they will want to help you.
All right. And from Give It To Me Hard on Twitch said that you said there's a low number of veteranpreneurs out there. How do we change that and get those skills learned moving towards a great direction?
That's a great question and a great name. I love all these names on here. This is fantastic. These people should be naming our next drinks that come out. I think we're on to something here.
There you go, a contest.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's, when you get out, they have all those briefs, and the takeaways from the briefs. At least when I was in, the takeaways from the briefs are, hey, you got 6 months worth of unemployment. Use that unemployment. It's different now, I'm sure, and then they had some job training. We could do this, that, and the other thing. I think it's a lot different and more in depth now than it was when I was in. But again, not having gone through that in a long time, I don't know how much they talk about being an entrepreneur and how to be an entrepreneur and how to be entrepreneurial. A lot of it is because you can transition from the military into a great paying job, make a great amount of money, have a great life. And I think that's kind of what they push because, quite honestly, that's what the majority of people are going to do. How do they do that? Look, you can go to college, you can go to school, and will they teach you entrepreneurship? Yeah, but it's like anything else. You get your training, you get your training back in garrison, right? But then you go out in the field and you apply it, and it only works for about 5 minutes until, the shit hits the fan. And then all of a sudden you go to your instincts, and it's all that stuff that, like I said, the Mr. Miyagi, Sergeant Payton, Sergeant Reno stuff. Like, oh, okay, I remember those guys taught me. Let's do this, that, and the other thing. So it's like that. School is great, but for me, it mostly created relationships, and I got to play lacrosse. But it didn't teach me anything about entrepreneurial. The entrepreneurial. You have to have that entrepreneurial spirit, and sometimes it might be there, or sometimes it may not be there. But you can really push it and create it. I don't know how. That's an interesting question. I have to ponder that some more because I'm actually going to think about that. But how do you get them to do it? I mean, there are people out there. I go back to relationships. It goes back to passion and relationships. Find something you want to do. You may be in one of those jobs. Hey, I got this great job. And you're in that job and you realize, I can do part of this job better, I think, if I could do it on my own. And then you have to figure out how to do that. I like having business partners. It's that team mentality that you learn in the military, and certainly then I went and played college. I played sports my whole life, and then sports in college. Have those people, because whether it's a business partner, whether it's your spouse, your significant other, to bounce those ideas back and forth and motivate yourself. But it's really leverage relationships, talk to people, read books. There's so many books out there. Or watch videos. A lot of these YouTube videos, and I know you guys are big YouTubers. It's the information is out there. You just have to find somebody who speaks to you, whether it's an author or somebody on the video. Somebody will speak to you. For instance, I play a lot of golf, and I'll watch on TikTok or YouTube one guy, one lady who tells me to do something with my swing one way, and it doesn't hit. And then somebody else will say it a completely different way. Or not completely different, but just a little bit different, but they speak to me. Now all of a sudden it makes sense and I can adjust my swing. It's the same thing. Find an author who speaks to you. Everybody, you have to start with Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Everybody should read that book, Who Wants to Be an Entrepreneur. It's the standard. And then from there, read other books, go in whatever direction you want to go in, whatever it takes you, and watch videos. The information, the intel is out there, and it's easy to get. You just have to find the people who speak to you.
I also think to get successful doing anything is doing what we're doing right here. Three guys in a room talking. You have to be able to speak to people. You need to push your product. You need to be able to, sell things to people. You can't just say, "Here you go. Here's a phone. Sell it." No, You need to know everything about it. You need to be able to talk about it. You need to be able to bullshit about it. You need to be able to just go on and on. It's not something you just, okay, there it is. That's it. If you want to start something, you need to talk it up, and a lot of people are afraid to do that.
Yeah, it's one of those things. What's the worst? Always look at the worst case scenario. What's the worst case scenario? Somebody could go, I don't want to talk about it. Okay, no worries. Yeah. I'm on to the next person. That is the absolute worst case scenario. What's the best case scenario? You could find somebody who's going to be a mentor or a business partner, or at the very least, someone who can introduce you or help you. That's the best case. And there's a lot more best case scenarios than there are the worst case.
Me walking around with your 12-pack is better than getting the phone call with them talking about my warranty on my car. Here, I'm trying to sell this. I'm not trying to talk about your warranty on your car.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, this will sell.
Exactly. You're hired.
I've been doing retail for 35 years, so I got the gift of gab, and I can BS you out of your pants probably.
That's right. You know the ropes, man. You know the ropes.
Oh. So, guys, are any plans? I know you've got all those flavors on. Any plans for more? Are you looking for flavors?
It's interesting. We in December, the beginning of December, we kind of started plotting our course for 2025, and we had 2 more flavors that we wanted to get out. And we're like, all right, because it takes a while to develop the flavors. It's not just one and done. It takes a few months. And then we thought to ourselves, we realized we're still brand new, and we got 4 flavors. We need to push. We really need to build these flavors right here before we start going out with other ones, which is something a lot of these companies do. Some of the bigger ones, they just churn out a new flavor every couple of months, and it's just it's almost like they just take two of their other flavors and put them together, and come up with some crazy color that they put on the can, some fuchsia color, and that's the new flavor, and everybody will drink it for a while, but they have to. It's a machine. But no, to answer your question, yes, we are going to come out with more flavors, but we're waiting. I don't think it's going to happen in 2025. Certainly not in the first half of 2025. Probably the end of 2025, assuming everything goes well with what we're doing right now, because we're really building infrastructure in 2 states right now. We've got to make the decision. We're going to go with more flavors, because we're probably going to move to a couple more states by the end of the year. But we do have a couple of flavors that we're tracking and we want to get out there, but we have to develop them, and we're just probably going to wait till the end of 25 or 26. We're really going to build our 4 core flavors right now. All
right. Now I will tell you though, you cannot go wrong with a Bloody Mary.
I can.
Okay. Hey, we're going to get ready to wrap this up here. But we need something from you real quick before we go. I need 3 non-negotiables from you every morning when you wake up, that in order for your day to be a success, you have to do these things.
3 non-negotiable. Okay, the first one is you got to make your bed. You have to make your bed. Even if you get up, I don't care if you're hungover. I don't care what it is. You got to make your bed. And it doesn't have to be perfect. I'm not talking about hospital corners, but you have to make your bed. The second thing is, I have to have a good conversation with my fiance. You got to have that morning conversation. You got to keep it positive, right? Absolutely have to keep it positive. And one thing I really like to do is I've got a bird feeder out back. And I absolutely love going out there and feeding the birds. I don't even get mad at the squirrels. The squirrels have figured out how to get in there, and it's fun. I always fill that up, and then I'll have my coffee out there and watch. And there's a whole ecosystem based around this bird feeder. So those are the things. But I think the 2 most important is like I said, make your bed, because that's the easy way to start the day. Like, my day has begun because I can't go back to bed now, right? Make your bed. Have some sort of positive conversation, or some sort of positive, conversation or text or something with somebody, because that really gets the day going too. You've made your day better. You've made someone else's better. I'm all about positive energy, and those things get going. And then, like I said, for me, my personal one, just because I have that, is I go out there and see a whole ecosystem in real life, real raw life going on right there, and it really gets me fired up. All right.
Well, ladies and gentlemen of the Misfit Nation, this has been Trevor Spiers. The drink is Oola ready-made cocktails. Look for them if you got especially if you're in Virginia. Look for them at Kroger. I'm gonna look at Kroger here in Kentucky, see if we've got them here.
We're all over Florida too.
Oh, all over Florida. All right.
Are you in New Jersey?
We're not in New Jersey. We're right now we're tracking south. We're going to kind of take the East Coast and sort of condense it. But we're getting a lot of requests from my fiance's from New Jersey originally, so obviously we get family requests. But we are getting a lot of requests from Pennsylvania and Maryland. So it'll be close to Jersey at some point.
Okay.
All right.
Otherwise, we can order it online, probably. No.
I think at Total Wine, you can order at Total Wine online.
Yeah, because I have Total Wines here. I just didn't know if I could, if they had it, or I had to order it through them. Okay.
Yeah, you can order it through Total Wine. That I do know.
Very good.
All right. So, order online through Total Wine. And Stephen, you got anything for the nation?
No, I'm done. I talked tonight. I'm done.
Hey, everybody can follow us. People can follow us on Instagram at Oola Cocktails. And from the Kickback Nation to the Misfit Nation, I really want to thank you guys for having me on. Chris and I, my business partner, Chris Klein, and I really appreciate you guys having us on. Everything you do for veterans and having veterans on. It's a great thing, and keep on keeping on, boys.
All right,
It was a
Trevor.
great chat. It was great having you on.
Great chat. MisFit Nation, we thank you for the questions. Remember to like and share and hit that notification bell. And we love you.
Have a good night, everybody. Take care.
Night.
This is a message from the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs. Got a question about your VA benefits, healthcare, or eligibility? Go to va.gov, where you can access a new interactive chatbot to ask questions 24/7. One can still browse va.gov for information, but you can now ask specific questions to the chatbot, like what's the PACT Act? How do I apply for disability benefits? What's my claim status? You can access the new feature through va.gov's Contact Us page. Then click on the Start Chat button. The chatbot will continue to improve veterans' access to information about the benefits and services they've earned. This is one way VA is offering seamless and secure access to its online resources.
Thanks for checking us out and being a part of the MisFit Nation show. Don't forget to visit our website at themisfitnation.com. That's themisfitnation.com. Check out all our past episodes and get some of the great MisFit Nation gear for you and your family. As always, be humble, stay hungry, and keep hustling, because we are
MisFit Nation. MisFit Nation.